on Joy News Prime, 44 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue for the year 2020. Tonight, we have a breakdown of the figures as President Akufo-Addo warns legal practitioners to pay their taxes or be chased by the Ghana Revenue Authority.
It is embarrassing. The lawyers are often at the top of the list of those who flout our tax laws and use their expertise to avoid paying taxes.
Also tonight, church members on rampage attacked journalists as Reverend Osu Bempa, founder and leader of the Glorious Word Power Ministries International, is remanded in police custody for issuing threats, brandishing weapons and attacking police officers.
Obi be bomb me wo gate ya no am.
Yes, so me camera mu ebu no say be be se no.
Head coach of the Black Stars, C.K. Akono, and his two assistants sacked. Ghana must find a new coach within 72 hours.
There's pressure in this job. There's pressure in it. But like I said, I don't let it overwhelm me. And so I take in charge, I take control over it.
In business, shipping lines and Ghana Shippers Authority agree on a 5% increase in freight costs for shipment of cocoa from Ghana.
Look at all the bunker prices are, what freight rates are, conditions locally, in both ports, and then we come to a certain level of rates that are agreeable to both parties because the lines will want to carry it at a profit. Of course, we also as Ghana want to ensure that our cocoa is carried in the best conditions.
My name is Ernest Mina, and Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our studios at Fandofa here at Kokomlemle in Accra. We are on your digital TV because we are free to air. DSTV channel 41, Go TV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned. Hello again, many thanks for joining us here on Joy News Prime. Now, additional tax revenue has been on the decline since 2017 from 6.5 billion Ghana cedis to 1.68 billion Ghana cedis in 2020. That's according to data from the Bank of Ghana. The Joy Research Desk has done some work on it, and let me break it down for you. So now let's start from Ghana's tax revenue from 2012 to 2020. So these are figures we've raised within this period, and of course the figures here are in billion Ghana cedis. So in the year 2012, we raised 12.52 billion Ghana cedis. It went up in the year 2013 to 14.31 billion Ghana cedis. In the year 2014, we raised in excess of 19 billion. We did 24 billion in the year 2015. In the year 2016, it went up again. We did 25.73 billion Ghana cedis. It went up further in the year 2017, 32.23 billion Ghana cedis. In the year 2018, it went up again. So we recorded 37.73 Ghana cedis. And then in the year 2019, we recorded 42.77 billion Ghana cedis, representing an increase. In the year 2020, we did 44.545 billion Ghana cedis. And so when you look at this, there has been an increase since the year 2012. But then the picture is different when you look at the amount in terms of how much we have added on year. Now, again, and these figures we are getting from the Bank of Ghana. So in terms of the tax revenue added on between the year 2012 to 2020, we are looking at a percentage of 2.67, an amount of 2.67 in the year 2012. Then you're looking at 1.79. Then you're looking at 4.92. You're then looking at, from 4.92, it comes down to 1.58, and I'm talking of billion Ghana cedis. Now, when you look at the year 2017, and this is the year 2017, it goes up to 6.5 billion Ghana cedis. But then it begins to decline in the year 2018. It goes down further in the year 2019. And in the year 2020, it drops from 4.99 billion Ghana cedis to 1.68 billion Ghana cedis. And so you're seeing a decline from the year 2017 from 6.5 billion Ghana cedis to 1.68 billion Ghana cedis. That is how we are faring as far as the additions we are making annually to our tax revenue. Now, 60,000. That's how many professionals, including lawyers, who are either evading or avoiding tax. This was revealed by President Akufo-Addo at the Ghana Bar Conference, which is underway in the Upper East Regional Capital, Bolgatanga. The president cautioned his colleague lawyers that the revenue agencies will be coming after them if they fail to honor their tax obligations. Listen to him.
To get the developments we all crave, then paying taxes must become a regular and unquestioning feature of our lives. I have to point out that if this campaign you're undertaking is to be successful, you will have to start from home. Mr. Outgoing President of the Bar, I'm afraid there's no easy way of putting this. You will have to start from getting members of the bar to pay their taxes. The record of lawyers in paying taxes has been historically poor. It is unfortunate, but a most unpleasant fact that members of the professions in our country have not been known to set a good example when it comes to paying taxes. They appear to think that being members of the learned professions put them above complying with everyday civic duties, like paying taxes. It is embarrassing. The lawyers are often at the top of the list of those who flout our tax laws and use their expertise to avoid paying taxes. The Ghana Revenue Authority has told a disturbing story about what it discovered earlier this year when it started working with the Registrar General's Department and the National Identification Authority. It found that there are some 60,000 professionals working in the country who are totally outside the purview of the tax authorities. These professionals are lawyers, they are accountants, they are doctors, they are engineers, they are surveyors, they are architects. In other words, they are part of the crème de la crème of Ghanaian society, and they do not pay taxes. They will soon be receiving friendly phone calls from the tax authority. I sincerely hope that those involved would move swiftly to regularize their tax affairs before the GRA moves to crack the whip.
So this year's conference is on the theme ensuring an increase in revenue mobilization through taxation for the purpose of accelerated national development, the role of the lawyer. President of the Bar, Tony Forson, urged his members to, to do their civic responsibility by ensuring compliance to tax regulation while helping to avoid corruption.
As lawyers, we have a sacred duty towards the society not to neglect our roles in national development. This comes through paying our fair share of taxes and to embark on practices that would aid our clients, and not to embark on practices that will aid our clients in dubious tax evasion and unholy tax avoidance schemes. The issue of endemic corruption, the learned Attorney General has hinted on that. That is one issue I wish to draw our attention to in our nation. I wish to call on all of us and the nation as a whole that we collectively re-examine our ways of life and the ways of corruption that are endemic. We need to examine bribery, which have not been normalized and accepted, through gift giving, which actively seeks to influence official conduct and to the detriment of the people who by merit deserve the opportunities snatched from them, and from the people who have no monies to compete with such endemic corrupt practices, allowing the institutions of state to work. Connected to the issue of endemic corruption in our society is the whom you know practice in our society. It has become an accepted way of life that persons of power and influence interfere in official functions of public offices and exert undue influence. Such ill conduct balloons into habit and soon into culture.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General is proposing that the General Legal Council considers the tax record of lawyers as a criteria for determining those in good standing.
Mr. Chairman, a major flaw with our tax system is a phenomenon described in popular parlance as tax evasion. It is that situation of citizens and persons working in Ghana dodging their tax obligations, either by completely avoiding coming within the tax bracket when they ought to be, or deploying illegal means to minimize their tax liability through fraudulent techniques. This practice, to say the least, it is loyal to the state. Sad to say, many lawyers are caught in the phenomenon of tax evasion as they unjustifiably avoid being caught in the tax net, either by understating their profits or concealing their true income.
Let's speak to the National Assistant PRO of the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kwaku Kuje. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, taxation is key at your conference this year. What is the GBA's take on the suggestion by the AG you had a while ago that lawyers' tax records should be part of the criteria in determining those in good standing? You'd have to unmute your device, Mr. Kuje. Would have to reconnect with the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association. Let's speak to him now. Thank you very much, Mr. Kuje, for joining us. The leader of the bar, the Attorney General, is saying that, as part of the criteria for determining those in good standing at the bar, the General Legal Counsel must consider the tax record of your members. Your reaction to this?
Thank you for having me, Dennis. Good evening to your cherished listeners. Yes, I would not disagree with the position that I have because as lawyers, we have a civic responsibility to fund our tax contributions. I think that the Attorney General tells us the position as contained in our tax regulation. I remember seeing a letter sometimes due to a lack of urging the United States as the authority that issue license to ask for tax law and certificate for the tax law. The impression shouldn't be created as if lawyers do not pay taxes at all. But lawyers do pay taxes. And it is mind-boggling to hear that GRA is finding it difficult to state lawyers to collect taxes. Why do I say this? Because it is a requirement by the General Legal Counsel that before you are granted a certificate to establish a law firm, you must have registered the GRA by way of that. So it is surprising that the impression is being created as if they don't have any records at all on lawyers and as to how to collect tax from lawyers. And the point must be reiterated that there are very good lawyers who are paying tax. And our president has also admonished us to fund ourselves. So going forward, I think that lawyers should be up and doing to fund their costs.
So paying taxes on the part of the lawyers and the firms is one part of the coin. The other side of the coin is the claim made by the AG and then the president that these lawyers sometimes aid clients in either avoiding or evading tax. How does the GBA react to this as well?
Yeah, and as I already said, we are all citizens of this country. We stand to benefit the law. If you do business as a lawyer and you evade fraud, you must pay. That's acceptable. We are not running away from our citizens. All we're saying is that the tax collector is taking an impression as if they have no records at all.
Very
because
well.
The tax collector. So if the tax collector has records of issues, come to us or at least assist us to honor the obligation. I know many members, or at least some members, are already doing it.
Okay. Mr. Kuje, thank you very much for speaking to us. That's the Assistant National PRO of the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kwaku Kuje, speaking to us there. Let's go on the other connection now and speak to a member of the Tax Justice Coalition, Bernard Anaba, on this development. Mr. Anaba, surprised about the revelation made today by the president, 60,000 professionals not paying tax?
Yeah, good evening, Ernest. Well, I'm not surprised. We have been in this advocacy for quite a long time, and we have been ringing the bell and telling the government over the years that look, our tax paying record is very poor. Our systems in place to to help people pay taxes is often very poor.
Okay.
But it's often been falling on deaf ears. So we are very much happy that the president himself and the attorney general have coming on board and joining the fight against tax avoidance or evasion. That is good. So I'm not surprised, and it's good for them to also speak up about it.
But there are two issues here: tax evasion and tax avoidance. Help us understand.
Well, there are the twin issues. Tax avoidance, it is taking the action to kind of lessen one's tax liability. It is perfectly legal. It means that the tax law is not perfect. Then you watch the tax law, advise your client or advise yourself to kind of lessen your tax liability. You know, sometimes government gives us some goodies in terms of tax deductions, credits, or adjustments. So if you take advantage of that, that is fine. But if you do it, you know, you go out to kind of try to enjoy such avoidance, then it's like it's not moral. Let's take, for example, recently when businesses and individuals were contributing to the COVID-19 fund, the government gave them some tax deductible in terms of what you give out will be tax deductible. So if you go out to do that just because you want to enjoy some tax kind of incentive, then that would be like you are trying to avoid paying the tax.
Okay.
So it's perfectly legal, but it's a moral thing. But in terms of tax evasion, that is where you try to lessen or you avoid paying your taxes, or you underpay your taxes.
Okay.
Basically, it's as simple as that. You know about the law, or you know that you should pay your taxes, you do not pay it, or you underpay it.
So, Mr. Naba, how do we address this issue going forward?
Yes, I think it is a problem of having the right systems in place. And like, you know, I'm not surprised we are picking on professionals, lawyers, and the rest. Mostly these are category of people who have their own businesses, and they may deal with clients that may pay them on cash based on individual basis. Or if they don't put their records down, then you may not be able to know their true income.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult area. And that also means that it requires every Ghanaian to be the good citizen, you know, be willing to, you know, comply with the tax law, be willing to pay your taxes. And that means you also believe in the state. And the more people are avoiding or do not pay the tax, it means that they do not believe so much in the state. In places where they believe that the state will take care of them when they are also contributing to the state, they will do that. So it's a twin approach of having the system in place and also making the people good citizens to be, you know, willing to pay the taxes.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Bernard Anaba. He's a member of the Tax Justice Coalition joining us there. Now, away from taxes, over the weekend, videos circulating on social media captured popular preacher Isaac Osubempa in the company of others at the residence of fetish priestess turned evangelist Nana Agrada. In one of the videos, the preacher approaches the camera and explains the reason for the visit. He said, and I quote, "Nana Agrada says she will teach me a lesson. So I came here so that she deals with me. When I got there, she was home, so I dared her to calm down. When I got there, she had a gun, but the boys seized it, and I told them not to shoot, else she would have been dead by now. She called the police, and I explained myself, and the commander intervened, and I did not go to fight because she threatened me." So this is essentially what Isaac Osubempa has been explaining in that video. Now, the founder and the leader of the ministry, Glorious Word Power Ministry International, Reverend Isaac Osubempa, has been remanded in police custody, making his first appearance before an Accra Circuit Court on Monday. The popular pastor was charged with offensive conduct conducive to the breach of peace and threat of death. This comes after the Ghana Police Service, in a statement, announced his arrest and 3 others for issuing threats, brandishing weapons, and attacking police officers on Saturday. But presenting their case, the accused persons pleaded not guilty to all the charges. Their legal counsel, led by Gary Nimako, prayed the court for his client to be granted bail. However, the prosecutor, Chief Inspector Dennis Tepete, opposed the petition, noting that the defendants need to be remanded to facilitate investigations. After hearing both arguments, the court presided over by Efia Owusu-Apia dismissed the application for bail to be given the prosecution enough time to investigate the case.
The court didn't grant the bail application, and we will have to come back next week, Monday. Is that not correct? So we'll come back.
Some members of the Glorious Word Ministries International, who had come to court to support their spiritual leader, attacked some journalists for filming Reverend Osu Bempa. Some of them spoke to Adom TV's Prince Osu.
Na ne twa me nso mu say ye pie ye na omu wie case na Reverend Osu Bempa sorry for ehwie nsu etu nsu ogumi so obi be bo me wo gate ya no ha main gate ya no ha obi fie kire ba ye be do me ka chem say me enche mewu simply say me twa Osu Bempa video asori ma ekeka nsam di atem
me side in there one guy be a urban or the paper no the cover send e be me ya no nti me say ontwe ho kakra na church members no too go me so ye so me camera mu ebu no say be se no etu so go me so bakon hit me chest say on makwan na even sexy don crampo at the quarter prisoners cell on say you call no interview na ono papa no here almost so for na here nti one police for na mboy said they should rather protect us say ebia this is the issue.
So no police for ye dwen say omo no eye ya dan fofo anka ye betumi aben omo a etumi atwa ye visuals no omo so man pene ntia ho no e na eye asorefo no epiapia ye bobo eye nsemchefo ni bi e say adan nti na omo pese omo twa eye omo sofo no.
Away from the court, Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei-Duchim says the ministry is working with the West African Examination Council to introduce a serialized test system to stamp out issues of examination malpractices. WAEC has come under intense criticism over its failure to deal with the perennial leakages which have characterized the BEC and WASI. The Africa Education Watch in the year 2020, in its 2020 report, indicted WAEC over these leakages, claiming the council has reneged on its supervisory role. WAEC has dismissed the claims, threatening legal action. Dr. Duchim says the ministry is finalizing a move to serialize exam questions to block the incidence of leakage. My colleague Manuel Cranting was with the minister on a tour of some senior high schools and now reports.
Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei-Duchim interacting with students of the Kwabenya Community Day Senior High School as part of his tour of the schools sitting the 2021 West Africa Senior School Certificate Examinations in Accra. He has been encouraging the students to take advantage of the free senior high school policy to make themselves, their parents and the entire country proud. He says government had commissioned investigations into the alleged leakage of exams questions.
Based on what WAEC is telling us, their systems are fine. But there has also been some allegations which we have asked that WAEC look into so that any issues that are there can be prevented in the future. And we can avoid situations where people are attempting to either sometimes create websites where they may put on questions that may come or may not come with serious repercussions for the students. Can we imagine being fooled into thinking that some questions are coming that doesn't show up? The rogue website situation, I think the law enforcement is working on it.
As a further step in blocking future repetition, Dr. Educhum said the ministry is working with WAEC to introduce a test serialization system.
And that is what we have begun discussion with WAEC about. We are even talking about serialization, which means there can be about 5 to 10 versions of the same test. So if somebody creates a rogue website and says this question has leaked, there are about 10 versions. How do you know that question is even going to be in your school? Or even if it comes to your school, how do you even know that that will be the question that you're going to be answering? So we are talking to WAEC about a number of things that will make sure that we put to rest this argument as to whether something happened, didn't happen. If we take away the opportunity to say that, yes, we have 10 versions of the test in English, and no students would then rely on anybody going to leak questions because they don't know what is going to show up on the exams. Even if version 1 leaked, what about version 2 to 10? So I believe that just as is being done in other jurisdictions, digital exams, of course, is the future. And that future should be happening in this country. But before we get to digital, we should be looking at serialization.
Meanwhile, the candidates themselves say they are confident of passing the exam.
I'm expecting A's, at least A, B's. Yeah, I don't want to go to C. I'm expecting A, B, like EMAS, maybe at least by B, then like Science A, Commerce A.
Our teachers have done so well by taking us through all the 4 core subjects and also our 4 electives. And we are very confident that with their help we will be able to pass the WASI very well.
It was normal. I felt like I was in class, just practice. Score plenty A's. That's my expectation.
Apart from Kwabenya SHS, the Education Minister visited West Africa SHS and Frafraha Community Day SHS. For Joy News, Manuel Quarantine.
This is Joy News Prime with me, Anas Mino. Still to come, head coach of the Black Stars, C.K. Akono, and his 2 assistants sacked. Ghana must find a new coach within 72 hours.
And this job, there's pressure in it. But like I said, I don't let it overwhelm me, and so I take in charge, I take control over it.
And coming up in business, shipping lines and the Ghana Shippers Authority agree on a 5% increase in freight costs for the shipment of cocoa from Ghana.
At what the bunker prices are, what freight rates are, conditions locally, in both ports, and then we come to a certain level of rates that are agreeable to both parties because the lines will want to carry it at a profit. Of course, we also as Ghana want to ensure that our cocoa is carried in the best conditions.
And welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. After a lengthy discussion with 26 shipping lines which participated in 2021 and 2022 cocoa freight negotiations with the Cocoa Marketing Company as well as the Ghana Shippers Authority, the rate of freight for shipment of cocoa will see an upward adjustment of 5% for the next crop season. The agreement was reached after several considerations were discussed among the parties in Accra. In a related development, the Ghana Shippers Authority has vowed to protect the shipment of cocoa from pirate attacks. The Chief Executive, Benonita Bismarck, spoke to Joy Business.
The idea is to ensure some level of predictability so that once we agree the freight, the cocoa that is carried is at the level, the freight rates that are carried. So there's no level of shock from anybody trying to introduce things that have not been agreed on. So it's not only the rates, but we look at the conditions of carriage as well. What you need, particularly if, say, it's a container, what you need to use to dress the container, because the beans have to be carried in a certain level of climate or temperature, to ensure that it doesn't go bad. So all those things where you lift the container from the quality of the container, they have to be food-grade containers. So all of these things are things that we talk about and agree. So that once we agree, it is the conditions that regulate the whole year, the season, 2021, 2022. Those are the conditions that regulate the whole year's carriage of cocoa. So that is the reason why we're here today. And we had the Honorable Minister coming as the guest of honor. We also have the Deputy MD of Cocoa Board. Cocoa Board is the main organization that handles our cocoa. CMC is the technical wing of Cocoa Board, and we work very closely with them. We do a lot of research. We look at what the bunker prices are, what freight rates are, conditions locally, in both ports, and then we come to a certain level of rates.
Meanwhile, shipping lines and agents, as well as freight forwarders, have renewed the call for the Ghana Shippers Authority to call for, these shipping lines to order. According to the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, the unapproved fees, which include container cleaning fees, administrative charges, and other levies paid by agents at the port, are making businesses at the port unattractive. Earlier on the marketplace, the Vice Chairman of the Institute, Johnny Mante, told Joy Business that the shipping lines have failed to abide by the rules and must be dealt with.
We've had engagement with the Shippers Authority. In fact, a petition was even made to the Transport Minister where he referred the issue to the Shippers Authority to deal with it. The Shippers Authority again has written to these lines to stay these charges. Unfortunately, these things still are ongoing, and we would be seeking redress on these matters. This action was supposed to have taken off on the 16th. However, the president, again, our president has said this is not an issue that we can deal with alone. He wants all the associations on board. He wants the GUTES, the AGIs, and every team on board. They are all on board, but a proper strategy has to be implemented. Of course, as we speak, my president is meeting with a couple of lawyers as we speak today, with other association leaders, and seeing the way forward on this matter. I mean, this matter will be dealt with. We are not going to stop at it. If they are illegal, at the end of the day, it's the consumer that suffers, and it has to be run.
Now, barely a day after the issuance of the 6-year bond was oversubscribed by 24%, the weekly Treasury bill sales for domestic investors, however, fell short of its target by about 8.8%, indicating some level of liquidity challenge, but not alarming. Charles Nixon Yabua has been looking into the auctioning results and has more in this report.
The slight reduction in the sale of the short-term instrument may also be due to government's position of keeping interest yields lower in order to reduce the cost of servicing the debt instrument going forward. Indeed, the interest cost fell by 100 basis points or 0.01% from the previous week's trading to 12.45 and 13.21% respectively for the 91-day and 182-day T-bills. Though the economy continues to expand following easing of COVID-19 restrictions, there appears to be some challenges in the fiscal economy. This comes after international ratings agency Moody's last week reviewed Ghana's ratings to B3 and outlook negative. It attributed the ratings to high debt burden, liquidity challenges, among others. Nonetheless, there is still some interest in financial instruments because investors, largely banks, perceive the government instrument as risk-free. According to the trading figures, government mobilized 1.25 billion cedis from the sale of the short-term instruments. And for the first time in a long time, the 182-day bill was subscribed more than the 3-month bill.
And that'll be it for business with me, Charles Aite. But still to come in sports, the head coach of the Black Stars, C.K. Akono, and his 2 assistants sacked. Ghana must find a new coach within 72 hours.
And this job, there's pressure in it. But like I said, I don't let it overwhelm me. And so I take in charge, I take control over it.
And the sports team come up next with more details into this breaking news story. Do stay with us.
So the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association has taken a decision to terminate the appointment of Black Stars coach Charles Akono and his 2 assistants with immediate effect. Joyce Sports Hans Mensah joins me in the studio with details. But first, Hans, let's take a look at the statement announcing the termination of C.K. Akono. So it says the Executive Council of the Ghana Football Association has taken a decision to terminate the appointment of Black Stars coach Charles Akono and his 2 assistants with immediate effect. This follows the receipt of the technical report from the head coach of the senior national team and the report from the Black Stars Management Committee following Ghana's Group C World Cup qualifying matches against Ethiopia and South Africa. It continues by saying the Executive Council, after considering the two reports, have decided to terminate its relationship with the head coach CK Akono and the two assistants. The Executive Council has informed a 3-member committee made up of the Vice President, Mark Addo, Upper East Regional Football Association Chairman Alhaji Salifu Zida, and Dr. Randy Abe to find a head coach and assistant coaches for the Black Stars within the next 72 hours. It says the association wishes CK Akono and his assistants the very best in their future endeavors. Ghana currently have 3 points after 2 opening matches. The Black Stars will take on Zimbabwe in the next round of games in October 2021. So that's according to the GFA announcing that decision earlier today. Hans joins me in the studio. Hans, you have been very vocal about the performance of CK Akono. Does this come to you as a surprise?
Oh, really? The real surprise would have been, if the FA had allowed CK Akono to continue in capacity as head coach of the Black Stars. I mean, it's not just about the results. It's also about the general performance of the team and some technical decisions that have been made. We heard recently of a player who was surprised at his own call-up. He wasn't expecting to be called up.
Was that true? Because I saw that on social media.
Absolutely. He granted an interview to one of our stations, and he did mention that he was surprised when he was called up.
Okay.
He was first called by the technical director, Bernard Lippe, and then later called by CK Akono. And he was saying that, look, haven't even been playing much and haven't been playing well. And so going by, the criteria required to call up a player into the senior national team, he was really surprised that he was called up. So CK really hasn't cut it as Black Stars head coach. If you look at the games that he's lost, South Africa are in a rebuilding phase, and we're even surprised that they beat the Black Stars of Ghana. As far as Ghana qualifying for Qatar 2022 is concerned, the FA had to make a decision, and I think they've made the right call.
But this decision, per the statement the FA gave us, was based on the technical report they got on the 2 matches. Absolutely. I mean, is that enough? If you're talking of issues of how players, find out how they are called up even to play for the Black Stars, those could be issues of interference, for instance.
Absolutely, and there's a reason why they are not going to cite any of those issues in the statement that they issued, because then, they will stand indicted. I think that ultimately, a coach is appointed to get results. Is CK Akono getting the results? Well, in some games he's getting the results, in some games he's not. I mean, he's been an embodiment of inconsistency in terms of the result. The team hasn't also been playing well. You can't really point to an identifiable brand of football that the Black Stars play under CK Akono. So that ultimately is the situation. I had my doubts about CK Akono when he was appointed.
And you have been on record as saying that he was not ready for the position.
He simply was not ready. And the writing was on the wall. If you look at CK Akono, I felt that we lowered the bar considerably to have been able to appoint CK Akono, because he came in with, 10 years coaching experience, where he had only won the NC Special Competition. Remember, the NC Special Competition was a stopgap competition when the normalization committee was instituted, and then some form of competition had to be played. That is the only competition CK Akono had won. On any normal day, if we had opened up the application for the position of Black Stars job, if we had allowed expatriates to apply, the sort of CVs that the FA would have taken delivery of would have meant that CK Akono
we'll come into that argument about an indigent and an expatriate, whether that works or not. But as it stands now, we need to have a coach. We have the qualifiers ongoing.
Absolutely.
How realistic is the time period? That 72 hours given the...
I think, or I believe strongly that the FA have already spoken to someone or some people, because, look, realistically, you can't find a coach, go through negotiations and sign a contract within 72 hours. That is too short a time, for me. And so I'm really surprised that they've penciled down 72 hours. I think they've already spoken to somebody or some coaches. They have a name in mind and are probably at an advanced stage of negotiations, which allows them to be able to put out that ultimatum.
Do you suspect we're going to have an expatriate? And that will lead me to the earlier, suggestion I made about whether the race or the color plays a role in this. Because, like we saw with Siki Akono's predecessor, it was similar issues. He said he had pressure from various quarters. And so, is it really about the competence of the local people, of our own people, or is the fact that the expatriates are able to stand their grounds or perhaps we are unable to hold them to the kind of standards that we hold these?
Here's the thing, and I've mentioned it before, the Ghana Football Association has a job to do in terms of dealing with the perception that when a local coach is appointed, they interfere in the work of the local coach.
Is it a perception or a reality?
I mean, for now, we can treat it as a perception, but the FA has got a job to that. For me, I don't care whether it's an expatriate or a local, even though I don't think that currently there's a coach on the local scene who has that competence to be able to handle the job, except for maybe Salas Tete.
Okay.
But I suspect that we are going to be going in for an expatriate.
Well, let's see how that is. Just 72 hours away. We'll know shortly. Hans, thank you very much for the latest in the world of sports. Up next is Showbiz. And Becky is here with all the latest in the world of showbiz. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
It was a fantastic weekend.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Let's talk about Joe Metal. So Joe Metal was on Daybreak Hit, I think.
Last week. Yeah, with Andy Dusty.
I
watched a bit of it.
Yeah. So he said that bad comments, negative comments, usually don't help the musicians or anybody in the entertainment industry. So he is calling, he's calling on the industry players to stop, the negative comments, because it doesn't affect just them, but it goes a long way to affect their families.
Okay, I see.
The last time I had like a really nice conversation with Don. We had, especially with the family ones. I'm like, Charlie, we'll be like, you see. Say me, like me, I'm in this, so I understand how these things, But then you punch like Obiba JK. Like now, I'm punching aside. Sometimes it's a lot, and especially when you put all those things down and you realize, first of all, when the person says it and realizes it's not true, they never fix it. They just leave it there. So. One time I was sharing with someone, we went somewhere to play a gig, and then when they typed the person's name, like the kind of stuff that came up, they were like, then they started giving excuses. Even me, it's happened to me before. There was an event like that, and then that time there were rumors of things of my family, and the people, based on some of these rumors, they started giving excuses. They didn't say no, but they didn't come back.
Well, Joy News will never spread negative rumors or rumors. Yeah. We give you authentic news.
But he handles it well, I guess.
Yeah, so well. Let's talk about Jackie. Jackie, obviously, was on E-Vibes. E-Vibes is still airing this weekend, so you should look forward to it. She's been saying that love songs, that she's not dating, we haven't seen anything love-ish going on with Jackie, but she's constantly writing love songs.
Singing about love.
Singing about love songs. Here's why.
Yeah, the name of the song was my idea. Okay. Yeah, because that was the chorus. Love is pretty, can't you see? So I just used that as the title.
Were you dating your friend or
no,
the one recording?
The producer, nah, none of that sort. Nothing at all. And it's sometimes it's overwhelming for me myself how I'm able to write love songs.
Okay.
Do you understand? Although I'm not in a relationship yet. Okay. Do you understand? So I would just classify that as part of the talent. Let's just say love stories are my stronghold. Do you understand? There are some artists too who are really good with songs that are inspirational. Yeah. Some are also very good with songs that are for, just partying and all that. So I would say my stronghold is love stories.
Wow.
Yeah. When I'm writing love songs, the lyrics flow easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
your stronghold is entertainment.
Yes, of course. And as before I go, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia, has offered to assist veteran actor Sam Ajetifi with some money following a viral video that saw the actor cry for help. A post made by Krobia Kwabna Asante on Facebook that the spokesperson of the Vice President, Dr. Gideon Boako, paid a visit to the presenter who interviewed Mr. Jetefio to donate 50,000 cedis to the actor. About 30,000 of the money is expected to pay the actor's rent for 5 years, and 20,000 will be spent on his upkeep. This comes after the taxi driver, TV series actor, in a viral interview appealed for 3,000 to enable him to pay his rent or risk being evicted. So we would like to say a very big thank you to the Vice President, and also he should accept our condolence. He lost his mother.
His mother as well. Thank you very much, Becky.
Thank you.
That's the latest in the world of showbiz. If you're watching us on Joy Prime, that's it for the bulletin. Many thanks for your company. If you're on Joy News, we have more stories for you. Don't go away. Now, President Akufo-Addo and scores of people, including NPP, some bigwigs in the NPP, visited the residence of the Vice President to sympathize with him on the passing of his mother. Hajia Mariama Bawumia died Monday at age 82. Dr. Bawumia, saddened by the loss, was seen clad in black, surrounded by family and high-ranking party officials. Former Speaker of Parliament Michael Quay, Dr. Joyce Ayi, and First Deputy Speaker Jose Wusu described the mother as a nurturing person and kind.
When a woman brings forth an illustrious son as this, she deserves to be mourned. She alone knows the joy she had or the suffering she went through in bringing us all such an outstanding scholar and performer. And I will only say, just as I've said over here, that we wish her to rest in perfect peace in the God Almighty.
It's a very difficult moment for him. But my late father always tell me, as a consolation, which I want to extend to the Vice President, that every single journey has an end. There is no journey without an end. So you should just take this as part of the design framework Allah has created us for humans. Time of this nature is very difficult for us to appreciate and understand. But whatever is planted is bound to happen. And so we give glory to God and accept the will of God.
All I want to tell him is that it's painful to lose a mother, but that he, as the Vice President, is a testament that his mother has done a good job of raising him. And for that reason, the Lord is pleased with her life's work.
We have experienced the pain. And so at this time, it is only fair for us to commensurate with her and with him and to wish him all the condolences we can. I mean, what I've seen here should tell you a demonstration of love. What he gives is what he's getting back. If that happened to any one of us here, most likely His Excellency the Vice President will be among the crowd that will be sympathizing with the bereaved. He is certainly a person who gives his personal commitment and support to his party people and other members of the public. So we are only paying back what he has given over the years since he joined the political fray.
Now, former President John Dramani Mahama is of a high expectation that persons found culpable in the Ejura shooting incident will be duly punished. His concern comes ahead of the release of the report by a 3-member committee set up to investigate the circumstances that led to the killing of 2 persons and the injury of 4 others. The 2020 presidential candidate of the NDC says videos captured of the Ejura incident show security personnel refused to act right. He said this in an address to the people of Frante at Ejura, where he started a thank you tour in the Ashanti region.
Etu ototo no aye omude. Enti omuduru ho a
Yɛne obi anka hwee papa na yɛnuanom bi atɔ fam. Ɛno ɛna Brɔfo kasa mu. Yɛsɛ impunity breeds more impunity. Impunity breeds criminality and violence. If we say omo yes ano, say ɛyɛ Nana Akufo-Addo de. Na omo ya onye omo hwee. Ɛne yɛfrɛ no impunity no. Ɛno ɛne yɛde abɛduru ha menimu kasa yi. Na te sɛ nkyɛ bia Ejura committee report ne bɛba. Na mempae ne sɛ ankoyɛ te sɛ Ayawaso West Wagon deɛ no. Ayawaso West Wagon and your mark committee in the kind na be 60-70% omo bogui. Our man find your she into Windsor Abbey, your share near Omo de Bay. You come me the video now, me share no. Anka send your gun and city no. Say and Crawford ya or yechre na emu ya yedinga. Say Asrafo na bambo for police for ne die nim. Na ombe ye no mo entumi a ansa na soldier for di echi no ma besom. Eso me video ya me hu yi. Police soldier car na na die nim. E na police for di nechi. E duru ho a omo hurhuri a papa na obia edimrika. No mo e ka omo. Omo to ho e to omo. Nyame fa mu nyina kransie.
Mr. Mahama also claims the medical superintendent of the Ejura Government Hospital, Dr. Mensa Manya, has been victimized for testifying before the Justice Kumsen Committee.
Mati bi sa abra assembly si ye no or your witness back one your friend no say ombeka say na assembly si esi ye. Enti ono ne Dr. Juma oye bibia ya tutuo no ewura nipa ne mu ni nyina okoka na kama ewase ho minim se nti o se de nti o mete ya se ya transfer no nipa oye medical director medical superintendent Emma hospital kese ti se Ejura ye yi no se onko health center enko ye na ejuma wo ho me I just hope say enya dia yeah, punishing for nya okoka or committee of inquiry ho. And so sign your may and then my uncle him. You'll be a friend of governance. I just say would yet sa governance no so now one for bibian to 2 year na omaino nechi and echo. And he wait there make us say mate ewo wiem MP ejina menchen say no kre na wenya transfer ye letter no reho na ye be shedin kran say bebi obe ejuma bia menim say nya opene ejuma no ehon so ebe ye kra behwe say na oye Ejura hospital ebe ye kra behwe no.
The do-or-die expression by former President John Mahama is gradually catching on with the party's grassroots. Now, though criticized by some as a violence-induced statement, NDC supporters in the Ashanti region have accepted it, communicating it through T-shirt inscriptions. The party says the statement will be at the core of campaigning to regain power in the next election. Nana Ojima followed the president on his first day of the thank you tour in the Ashanti region and has won the following report.
Ilyasu Mustafa alias Kruka has served the National Democratic Congress for over a decade. By dint of hard work, today he is a branch organizer of the Ejura Brigade of the NDC. Kruka, as he is popularly called, is here to get over the 2020 election defeat.
He came here for thank you tours. That's why we are here.
At the Frante Deba grounds, many have gathered to catch a glimpse of the former president who kickstarts his thank you tour to the region here. Ilyasu, who has traveled from Ejura to the small town of Frante, stays behind the crowd in his 2020 campaign shirt. He has added an embroidery which reads, "Do or die," in support of the statement, which is catching on like wildfire.
Do or die, no. The only thing is me youth no me no make kasa ye be adwumaden abo party ni se da be say ya 2024 sasisia bia emba mu awo police station any quality center hono.
At the rally grounds, some party members danced to party's campaign songs, blazing from the public address system in wait of their leader. Some are sporting do or die shirts they printed themselves. This is how these party supporters hope to help the party implement their agenda.
Yes, young man, people force to see a PM. Sa abato wo yo musisi ye no se ye betena ho mo musisi ye de ebi nsibiem but ye be fi ye ni na ye hwemu yie aba no ye kanya free branch ansa esurofo aje se enu na mbamu a ene du anda no aye no kura se bebam me kofo mo a me ma mo ti asie se 2024 election no aye do and that aye ni blaso.
At the Frante Palace, where the former president paid a courtesy call on the traditional authority, the statement was endorsed. Nana Jaba II is Edra Sechedumase Kruntihine.
Omampani da on she ono anen crofo eden.
Oso mpani da anen crofo eden.
Kacha wonu se.
O kacha omo se.
Abato ebeba no.
Abato ebeba no.
Enya de ebe yan hwe han.
Nya de be hwe han.
Obia ya di dwumadi ebe ma won.
So obia dwumadi ya won sa no.
Awo se wo hwe na wo ye ni ye.
So ye ni ye.
Na wo ye ma ewie ye.
Jama ewie ye.
Sasu wo kan ye bone. De ye me de pa ne se.
Se de de pa nse.
Wo hu se.
Onu se.
Enye court.
Enye court.
Ana ye be kwa akoje ebimbie. Na mom yanya eye wo ni okuoma no mo be ma mo ni ada ho.
Oso nu okuoma mo ni na ho.
Ma hwe. Ma totom no ma ye.
Meanwhile, the NDC says the statement will form crest of the party's message to win back power in the 2024 election. Samuel Ofosu Ampofo is party chair.
Yeah, there are some Yampani John Damani Mahama Kano. Me, I'm a party John Tradino. My first stamp, because here, a friend stamp, and I'm a dear team to say pine. Say, no, they're there. And yet, to trust them. Now, Yamama, near the hall. Near say, Obin fan the Taku Message is three. No, being fan the black and white TV in your day, and Message color TV. None near Ghana for penal. You better say, you're talking about 2024.
Different interpretations continue to be given to the do or die statement, but NDC sounds resolute in support. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
See, some supporters have lost their livelihoods after an accident during election campaign in November last year. The party supporters were being transported to Ejura for a rally to be addressed by the party leader, John Mahama. 8 persons died from the accident and many are yet to recover 10 months on. Now Jima caught up with some of the victims when the party visited them.
The truck which transported the party supporters eager to grace the occasion overturned about 5 minutes into the journey. 5 people died on the spot. 3 others were lost subsequently and many are slowly recovering. The NDC 2020 presidential candidate recounts the emotions after the story broke.
Yeah, nanti a yeah be na yora ho. If you saw church muno na a church say your money be ashuro monkwa. Ebim so prepare. Nti drew chrome and ankamempo me say rally no yentwam na yenkwohwe yenuan mo prepare ene omo a omo ahwe omo nkwa.
On Sunday, Mr. Mahama, who is on a thank you tour to the Ashanti region, traveled to Ejura Sechedumase district to visit victims. Seated in front row are maimed victims of the incident. 2 of them, including branch chairman, have their right limbs severed. Apia Elisha is 17 and in JHS1 at Frante MA School. Though not eligible to vote, he joined the others on the campaign trip. His hopes to be a medical doctor hangs in a balance after the incident.
Today be an identity education, I am not adding. But still, my fan say it's part of life.
Rashida Foko, until the day of the incident, was a hairdresser. Presently, she has lost a hand, making it impossible to ply the trade.
Yeah, man, means me quite Mamma and Papa and a sham. Any million moon so look a crack. Yes, I am a new boy.
Another, Sani Karim, has his face swollen as a result of damaged jaw. Talking is a difficulty. But the greatest challenge is that his 9 children are surviving on the benevolence of others. Many, just like the amputees, are in distress as they struggle to get back into their professions. Nasiru Abakasim is former assembly member.
3 people were amputated, but 8 died, and over 20 are incapacitated. They can't do work as they used to do because they were farmers. And now they cannot go to the farm again because of the bodily pains and other serious injuries that they've sustained during the accidents.
NDC branch chairman at Frante, who was leading the party supporters, has his right limb amputated. In his address to the former president, he pleaded for a fund for families of the 8 who are deceased.
Former president.
The NDC has promised to help the amputees with prosthetics to help them regain their lives. Party chairman Samuel Ofuswampofo spoke on their behalf.
Deformity. President Mahama say, "Yabba say be show mon san ene wo nan no ene e de amawo." Enu akire no President Mahama say ye nua ba ko a nanim nyina ho no so no. Our specialist bi wo enkran. Amfa ne mra na specialist no hwe no na onhwe se ne be ya ne ho beto no kra na watimi agina ne nan so.
Meanwhile, an amount of 50,000 cedis was presented to the victims with an assurance that the request for a fund will be considered. For Joy News, Nana Ochima reporting.
Now, cases of breast cancer have increased following the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have details after this breakdown. Cases of breast cancer have increased following the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. The situation has been blamed on disruptions in medical services, such as the cancellation of surgeries. An estimated 24,009 new cases of cancer occur annually in Ghana, out of which 15,802 die. The most common of the cancers, however, are breast cancers, accounting for between 2,055 and 4,482 cases each year. And they remain the #1 cause of death among Ghanaian women as far as cancers are concerned. But the Center for Transport Security Dialogue, in collaboration with Breast Cancer International, wants the story to change. Judith Awatritando has more on the following report.
The Center for Transport Security Dialogue, in collaboration with Breast Care International, will this October be moving breast cancer screening and awareness to bus terminals. Beatrice Wiafiade is president of Breast Care International.
We know that majority of the passengers are women. Breast cancer is a disease that affects mostly women. And because of the nature of the businesses, the woman is always busy. Even when you go to the marketplace, they don't want to leave their house because they are traveling. So why don't we take the message to them at the transport places, at the lorry parks, inside the buses, so that they wouldn't waste extra time to go for screening. So we are going to create awareness at the transport places. We are going to screen at the lorry parks, the lorry terminals.
The exercise will take place in the major bus stations in Accra and Kumasi at absolutely no cost to beneficiaries. But drivers also have an important role to play in executing this initiative.
We are going to train the drivers as advocates. We are going to let them understand that a lot of what we are going to do depend on them. So they have to understand that it's a responsibility, a responsibility to help our women. And if they want to be in business, the women have to be healthy.
At the launch of the exercise, President of the Center for Transport Security Dialogue, Hamilton Baini Nixon, explained the exercise is targeting about 600 women at each station.
We've had some discussions with the unions and then some transport companies. 2M Express, for instance, the training is going to be held at their terminal in Kumasi. We are also in some discussions with the VVIP, VIP, and the STC. The last check we did, some transport companies transport almost about 1,000 people a day. And this 1,000 people, we have about 600 being women. And so we believe that at least if 600 women are able to be informed on this awareness program, and 400 men also have this information, it will help us go a long way.
This initiative, according to the organizations, is part of efforts to intensify breast cancer screening, diagnosis and treatment in Ghana. Judith Awatritando, Joy News.
Doctors treating children with cancer say they are concerned about the increasing number of cases in the country. More than 1,200 children under the age of 15 are estimated to develop cancer in Ghana each year, common of which are leukemia, lymphoma, and retinoblastoma. Now, also, it includes soft tissue sarcoma and neuroblastoma. In this Johnny's Special Health Desk report, Mamisi Thompson visits the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where cases have doubled this year.
10-year-old Bright had come with his aunt for follow-up checks at the oncology daycare unit, following a removal of one of his kidneys. In 2019, he was diagnosed with Wilms tumor, a cancer that attacks the kidney.
I went to some human house, but then I was not wearing dress. Then they didn't. Then the woman saw it. Then they say, then he called my father. Then my father come and saw it. Then they say we should go to Tamari. We come to Tamari. They say they can't treat us. Then they send us to here.
Shortly after he was referred to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, his father died, and his mother abandoned him in the care of his auntie, Blessing.
We were there when we realized that one side of the abdomen, the left part, it was like a boil on it. And my mom and dad decided it's just for herbal treatment.
And that's it for Joy News Prime. Thank you for joining us. You find more stories at myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino. Up next is Hotline Documentary.